All right, y'all, we need to have a real conversation today because what we witnessed with Yolanda Dunn was not just a regular YouTube live. This wasn't casual commentary. This wasn't a calm explanation. This was a full-blown meltdown disguised as confidence, wrapped in denial, sprinkled with deflection, and topped off with lies so loud they echoed through the comments. We're talking about blaming Melody, dragging Queen Sheba, rewriting history, switching personalities mid-sentence, and repeatedly screaming, "I'm unbothered," while clearly being the most bothered person on the app. So grab your tea, sit back, and let's actually break this down. Because baby, the meltdown was loud, and the lies were even louder. So let's start with the biggest lie Yolanda told, claiming she doesn't care that her YouTube channel is getting terminated on December 12th. Now, I want y'all to really think about this logically, because nothing about her behavior matched that statement. If you are truly unbothered, you don't spend hours on live pacing back and forth like you're waiting on a jury verdict. You don't go live multiple times a day. You don't lose your voice yelling into a camera. You don't sit there reading every single comment and sweating when people push back. And you definitely don't blame every person you can think of except yourself. If Yolanda truly didn't care, she would have made a short, sweet goodbye video, thanked her supporters, logged off, and went about her life. That's what unbothered looks like. What we saw instead was spiraling. We saw someone panicking, grasping for control, and trying desperately to convince herself and her audience that she was fine when everything about her energy said otherwise. And repeating "I don't care" over and over doesn't make it true, it just makes it obvious you're trying to believe it. One of the clearest signs of this meltdown was the way Yolanda blamed literally everyone except the one person responsible, herself. Melody, Queen Sheba, Stormy, Stormy's mama, producers, moderators, YouTube, haters, jealous people, random conspiracies, anybody but Yolanda. Accountability was nowhere to be found. It was missing, absent, and clearly not invited to the live. Here's the thing people like Yolanda don't understand. Consequences don't require villains. Sometimes the villain is simply your own behavior. YouTube did not wake up one day and randomly decide to target her. Platforms don't terminate channels over one mistake. They do it over patterns, repeated violations, escalating behavior, ignoring warnings, and Yolanda did all of that while believing she was untouchable. When you build a platform off chaos, you can't be shocked when chaos circles back and takes you down with it. Now, let's talk about one of the most ridiculous claims Yolanda made, that Queen Sheba is somehow responsible for her channel being terminated. This is where logic completely left the chat. Queen Sheba does not work at YouTube. She doesn't have a badge, a keycard, a login, or a desk in Silicon Valley. She is not sitting behind the scenes pulling plugs on channels she doesn't like. YouTube shut Yolanda down because Yolanda violated guidelines, period. She exposed private information. She crossed boundaries. She escalated her content in a way that put people at risk. That's not Queen Sheba's fault. That's not sabotage. That's consequences. And blaming Queen Sheba for YouTube's decision is like blaming the rain because you refused to bring an umbrella. At some point, you have to accept responsibility for the choices you made. Then we get to the part that truly turned my stomach, the comments Yolanda made about Melody and her ability to have children. That wasn't commentary, that wasn't critique, that wasn't shade, that was cruel, unnecessary, and intentionally hurtful. And what made it worse was the sarcasm behind it, the bitterness in her tone, and the complete lack of empathy. Say what you will about Melody, but she gets online, works, hustles, minds her business, and continues to build. Yolanda attacking something so personal says far more about Yolanda than it ever will about Melody. And the moment Yolanda realized the audience was shifting, when more people entered the live and started pushing back, that's when the tone changed. Suddenly, it was, "I take accountability." Suddenly, it was, "I know I was wrong." That wasn't growth. That wasn't reflection. That was damage control.
The personality switch was wild. One minute she was dragging Melody, dragging Queen Sheba, dragging producers, dragging anybody with a pulse. The next minute she was claiming she's spiritual, self-aware, accountable, and misunderstood. That mask slid clean off. Because real accountability doesn't depend on who's watching. Real remorse doesn't show up only when the room changes. What Yolanda displayed was performance, adjusting her tone to match the audience, not her conscience. And that's how you know it wasn't genuine. She wasn't sorry for what she said, she was sorry she got caught saying it in front of the wrong people. Let's really talk about this unbothered narrative she kept screaming. Yolanda was on live for hours, pacing, raising her voice, getting defensive, blocking people, snapping at comments, and losing control of the conversation. That is not unbothered. That is someone unraveling while trying to appear powerful. The contradictions were constant. She claims she takes accountability while blaming over 40 people. She said she doesn't care about YouTube while grieving her channel like it was a family member. She said she's done with drama while creating more drama in real time. You can't say one thing and live the opposite. People aren't stupid. They see behavior louder than words every single time. Another lie Yolanda told was claiming she forgave Melody and no longer has an issue with her. You cannot forgive someone you're still obsessing over. You cannot say there's no problem while dedicating entire videos to tearing that person down. That's not forgiveness, that's fixation. And the delusion that Melody is sitting somewhere thinking about Yolanda is wild. Melody is booked, busy, traveling, singing, working, and raising her kids. She does not have the time or interest to focus on someone whose entire platform revolves around mentioning her name. Yolanda built views off Melody's existence and now wants to act offended that the name no longer benefits her. You can't ride someone's relevance for content and then turn around and resent them for it. Queen Sheba represents everything Yolanda isn't: calm, articulate, credible, and unbothered. She doesn't yell, she doesn't beg, she doesn't spiral. She speaks with clarity and people listen. That's why Yolanda keeps her name in her mouth. When someone doesn't have to scream to be heard, it exposes those who do. Calling Queen Sheba obsessed and jealous while mentioning her name dozens of times in one live is projection at its finest. If someone is beneath you, they shouldn't be living rent-free in your head. That's not confidence, that's insecurity on full display with a ring light and a Wi-Fi connection. The emotional roller coaster during that live was alarming. One moment Yolanda was crying, the next she was yelling, then she was singing gospel, then she was cussing people out. That is not peace, that is chaos. If YouTube didn't take her channel down for guideline violations, they could have taken it down for emotional whiplash alone. This wasn't calm and blessed. This wasn't healed and elevated. This was someone losing control while trying to convince everyone she was fine. And the more she repeated that she didn't care, the clearer it became that she cared deeply. The moment accountability became unavoidable, Yolanda shifted into victim mode. Suddenly she was depressed. Suddenly she was unsupported. Suddenly she was unappreciated. But where was that energy when she was laughing at other people's pain? Where was that vulnerability when she was dragging Melody's fertility? Where was that sadness when she was bragging about being untouchable? Tears don't erase patterns. Trauma stories don't excuse cruelty. And playing the victim after causing harm doesn't make you misunderstood, it makes you manipulative. Yolanda also kept inserting Stormi's name like she was on payroll, acting like Stormi's lawyer, spokesperson, PR manager, and security guard. Stormy isn't defending Yolanda, Stormy isn't acknowledging Yolanda, and Stormy definitely isn't handing her a shield. You cannot defend someone harder than they defend themselves. Yolanda caught bullets for someone who didn't even notice she was in the room. And what did that loyalty get her? A terminated channel. That's the lesson. At the end of the day, Yolanda is not a victim. She's not being sabotaged, she's not being attacked. She created this mess herself. When everyone around you is supposedly the problem, it's time to look in the mirror. The common denominator is you. She built her platform on chaos, lies, and cruelty, and when the chaos turned back on her, the entire thing collapsed. That's not jealousy, that's consequences. This meltdown is not over. Yolanda is going to keep spiraling, keep pointing fingers, and keep trying to convince everyone she doesn't care, because admitting the truth would require self-reflection, and silence would force her to face herself, and some people simply cannot sit with who they are.